On these weather water cooler segments, we like to reconnect with alumni of the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science who are working in a variety of fields. Tonight's guest is a 2014 graduate who's gone on to a career in the U.S. Air Force. First Lieutenant Matthew Kovall is a weather and environmental sciences officer at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Welcome back to Penn State, Matthew.
Good morning, Dr. Nese. Good to be here.
So I know when you graduated, you looked for broadcasting and forecasting jobs at first, and then you pivoted and ended up in a place that turned out to be a stepping stone for your current career path. Tell us about that first job after college and where that led.
Yeah, so after graduation, applied for many jobs in meteorology, didn't get any applications, but I applied to be a field crew member with the Montana Conservation Corps in Helena, Montana. The work required just working on lands, including improving trails so that people can use them if they're going camping or backcountry hiking. And it was a very nervous time for me. I was 2,000 miles away from home, didn't have any connections there, and it was a physically demanding job. But I'm definitely glad I took it because it gave me the opportunity to see the beautiful lands out there in Montana, seeing the Rockies. And so some days I'd be working, pulling invasive weeds in a town with the Rocky Mountains. Some days I'd be with my crew, would be working on trails. So that way, people who are doing hunting trips, they could be able to use the road trails safely.
And you mentioned that someone there noticed your strong work ethic and thought that you should perhaps apply for the U.S. Air Force. And so you did that. You enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, and you had a really interesting position there as a radar, airfield, and weather systems technician. What are some of the things you worked on?
Yeah, so as a radar airfield weather systems technician or RAWS technician at Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama, I primarily worked on radios that the weather air traffic control tower relied on communicating with the weather aircraft or with any of the aircraft in the area. I maintained some of the equipment called a glide slope or a TACAN that aircraft rely on to land safely and straight on the runway. But the two equipment that I enjoyed working on the most was our fixed meteorological equipment, or FMQ-19, at the airfield, which provides weather data like temperature, relative humidity, wind speeds, cloud coverage, and lightning strikes, helping maintain that, give us more accurate data at the airfield. And then also we maintained a weather radar out in Tuskegee, Alabama, which is about 40 miles east of the base. And it was amazing to work on that because there'd be times where we would turn off for maintenance. I got the chance to go inside of it and be able to move the huge Doppler radar dish manually. So that was always a fun point, but also made me proud of what I was doing because whenever we had active severe weather, tornadoes are frequent in that area. And being able to know that my maintenance, my job of keeping that radar working helped provide key weather data and save lives.
And so then you parlayed that into, you applied for a commission as as an Air Force weather officer, and this is what led you to your current role. But at Vandenberg, can you just tell us a little bit about Vandenberg Space Force Base first?
Yes. So Vandenberg Space Force Base is located along California's central coast, about 2.5 hours northwest of LA, and it is a large spaceport that is kind of like rivaling Cape Canaveral in the East Coast, where we are launching rockets almost twice a week now. When I arrived here, we were only launching maybe a rocket every week or two, and now we're launching almost every week and pretty much almost twice a week. In fact, I'm working to launch tomorrow, actually.
You're a launch weather officer. Tell us about the responsibilities there.
So as a launch weather officer, I provide pre-launch and day of launch weather forecasting and briefings to not just members of our range, but also to launch customers. I help, the key role is providing um, probability of violation for lightning commit criteria. Essentially that as a rocket is launching and going through the atmosphere, it can potentially trigger lightning if it goes through certain weather conditions, primarily clouds. So I help look at forecasts And leading up to launches, I provide a probability of violation for that launch. I provide the weather forecast for the actual T0 launch. And then on day of launch, myself along with my other launch weather officers, we help look at that forecast and we just provide weather briefings and weather updates to both the range and customers to make sure that we are green for launch for weather.
Okay. And I understand that you're currently preparing for a change in your Air Force career. What's next?
So in a couple months, I will be moving to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. I'll be a weather plans divisions chief. And so it'll be a change of pace, but I'm looking forward to it just to be able to be a little bit closer to home and just be able to kind of get more enjoy the all four seasons as well. Because living here in California, while the weather is very pleasant all year round, there is parts that I miss. I do miss seeing snow in the wintertime.
Yeah, and you'll be closer to Penn State too. Quickly, we only have about 30 seconds left. Do you have a favorite memory from your time at Penn State?
My favorite memory is always seeing snow showers moving in from the west from the weather center. Just be able to look out west, seeing that blanket of snow slowly approaching the area and just turn everything white. So that is something I greatly remember when I was at Penn State.
Yeah, and that view still happens here quite frequently. First Lieutenant Matthew Kovall of the U.S. Air Force Launch Weather Officer, Vandenberg Space Force Base. Thanks for joining us, Matthew.
Thank you so much.
And we will be back in a moment with more.